from Kerala. It comes at a time when there is massive deliberations over whether there is a need of the hour to get in a legislation to bring in the control of powers that the Waqf board has, unbridled powers as they are called. Now, this is a story of a village near Kochi in Kerala, Munambam. It's become a flashpoint of a mega political war of words, especially because the state Waqf board has now claimed that over 404 acres of land designated as Waqf property in 1950, they say they want it back now. Today, we bring you this exclusive news break. It's going to uncover the truth of what exactly happened and why this piece of land is in the midst of this controversy. Now, this is a dispute that dates back to 123 years. We've accessed two documents that shed light on how this 404-acre land was leased to Abdul Sattar Seth by the then King of Travancore. This happened in 1902 as a mark of appreciation. In 1950, the Seth clan further leased this property to Farooq College for educational objectives. It was made clear that the precondition was that the college needs to exist and that the land should only be used for education. If not, if for any reason that college were to cease to exist, then the land needs to be given back to its rightful owner, which is the Seth descendants. Following a legal dispute, Farooq College, over a period of 10 years, then sold parts of this land to several residents, specifically fisher folk in that particular area. So that the fisher folk that were living there for decades then bought the land, at least parts of it, from the state government, from the rightful heirs, the rightful owners of this particular land, and are now residing there. Now, what's happened now, years later? In 1950, there was a document that confirmed the transfer of ownership to the Farooq College. This was a gift deed. But this 1990 document that we've also accessed here, it confirms that the sale of parts of this land was given to certain residents of this particular village. Now, while the Waqf board continues to contest this as land property, these documents have brought to fore a set of established preconditions. One, that a grantor cannot impose conditions on donated land, and if there are any, it cannot be considered as Waqf. The second one was that there needs to be an educational institution on this particular land, and if that is not there, then the land goes back to the rightful owners, which in this case would be the fisher folk that bought this land from the original owners of this particular land. So where does the Waqf actually come into the picture? That's what we're trying to decode here. Why is it that we're seeing Waqf board come and stake claim to a land of over 400 acres, even though there are documents that go on to suggest that they have absolutely no right over it? Neetu, my colleague, joining us, getting us more details of this. Neetu, these two documents that we have accessed here on CNN News 18, they go on to show that there is something amiss. There is a clear paper trail, and yet we have the Waqf board wanting to stake claim on over 400 acres of land.
See, in this 1915 November 1 agreement that we have accessed, it says that Siddiq Seth has given this to the Farooq College. Now, in the same document, it has been mentioned that this is being given as Waqf. So that is, the word Waqf is mentioned in this document, and that is where all these claims have begun, or this entire issue is because the word Waqf is written in this. Now, the residents, their claim is that they have bought this property, and also what they are saying is that when you're giving a land as Waqf land, it has to be an absolute dedication, and you cannot impose conditions on this. Now, this is the stand that they have taken in the court also. The cases are pending with the Kerala High Court with this as regards from 2022 itself. There are many cases that are pending before the Kerala High Court. So before the High Court also, the residents, the affected parties have taken this stand that you can, just because Waqf is mentioned in this document, in the same document there are preconditions, so you cannot say that this is Waqf. So that is their claim, and that is what is pending before the court also. Ultimately, it is up to the court to rule on this, looking at all these documents, what it is. But at the same time, what we are also seeing is that it was not actually the Waqf board which had actually approached the court. It was a Waqf protection committee, because after in 2019, some of the residents were told that they cannot pay land taxes. That's when they got to know about this. So at that time, the government had intervened, the state government had intervened and had allowed them to pay property tax, land tax at that time. So it's at
Right.
that time the Waqf Protection Committee had approached the court, and it's after that the residents had to approach. But this is the whole issue that is affecting Munambam. All this started because in that deed in 1950, November 1, which Siddiq Seth had given to Farooq College, he had mentioned the word Waqf in this. So the contention here is that you cannot have preconditions, because the Waqf Act 1995, in that it when you talk about Waqf, it is clearly says it has to be absolute dedication. So this is the interpretation that is up to the court to
So
decide.
clearly
But,
there is a
on the ground, we are also seeing
misinterpretation
that the
to this particular term, which seems to have caused this dispute. I'll come back to you, Neetu, and try and put this in perspective further. But former Minister and leader of the BJP, KJ Alphonse, joining us on the broadcast. So thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. These documents that we've accessed here, that we're putting out, does that somewhere go on to show that there is an attempt by the Waqf board in the state of Kerala to try and use certain terms, certain documents as per their convenience and stake claim over land that is rightfully belongs to these fisherfolk there?
Here, see, if you look at the documents, we can see that the land was purchased by people. It was, and consideration was paid way back in 1950. And therefore, that matter should have been settled. Now, of course, just to create social tension and in the name of, let's say, not being absolutely sure about the terminologies used in the Waqf Act, people are antisocial elements are trying to create problem there. And that's precisely why the government of India has now brought a bill to amend the Waqf Act so that, things are more clear. What exactly is Waqf property, how it can be donated, how it can be alienated. I think there needs to be certainty about all these things. And apparently, people are saying, I am not even sure about these figures at all. There's something like 900,000 acres of Waqf lands in India. And many of these lands possibly may not be legally be, constituted documents, and a lot of land has been alienated as well. So I think there needs to be clarity, and that's precisely why the government of India is trying to bring about a law. In the meanwhile, both the left front as well as the Congress front has come out with a resolution against the amendment of the legislation. See, we have a tradition in Kerala of both these fronts supporting fundamentalist elements. Elements which want to create social disruption. And I think these are things which need to be dealt with, nip with the bud, and ensure that in a society which lived peacefully for a very long time, antisocial elements don't create problems.
Now, these protests that we're seeing, Mr. Alphonse, as far as this particular village near Kochi is concerned, these are rightful owners of that particular land. The document clearly goes on to say that if there is no educational institution of this land, then it needs to go back to the owners. So why is there a dispute at all, do you think? Why is there any credence to why the Waqf board is wanting to stake claim?
Yeah, I think there should be no dispute at all regarding this, because in Munambam, the document is very clear. If the college is not going to use it for its purposes, the property goes back to the person who donated, and so therefore there should be no problems. And of course, consideration was changed hands when the property was sold to these people. And I really think it's to create communal disharmony, because the people who bought the land who are settled there now for a long time, they belong to a certain community, and people who are trying to create problems, of course, belong to certain fundamentalist elements of another religion. So it's just to create disharmony that this issue has been brought up.
Mr. Alphonse, thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. The BJP, of course, seeing a certain plot in this, as we're seeing in other states as well. But speaking about this particular village near Kochi, Neetu, the documents are very clear, the two documents that we've accessed. Any reaction from the state government over this?
See, the state government, both the minister, even the chief minister himself has come out and said that they will not be doing anything to to disrupt the people there, they will be taken into consideration. In the state of Kerala, there's also another thing that the Muslim organizations, they held a meeting last week. The Indian Union Muslim League had taken the initiative to call for a meeting of the Muslim organizations, and they have come forward and they have even passed a resolution saying that the government should intervene in this and solve this amicably at the earliest. There should be an out of the court settlement. And they also went on to say that no Muslim organization has said that these people should be evacuated from their homes. So this was a stand that has been taken. We are understanding that the government will be calling for an all-party meeting after the bypolls mostly are over. There will be a meeting called of all parties to discuss this issue. The Muslim organizations, UDF, has also come out and said that this issue should be settled and the government can settle this. There should be an out-of-court settlement over this. So this is how the state government has reacted. The Congress and the UDF has reacted. The Congress also blaming the government, stating that they are not really taking immediate action to ensure that the concerns of these people are addressed.
Right, Neetu, do stay on with us because this comes at a time when the Joint Parliamentary Committee is deliberating over a legislation to amend the Waqf Bill, which will try and curb exactly these kind of instances. At least that's what the government says is the aim, to bring this bill so that there is greater transparency. Today, we had Union Home Minister Amit Shah too express concerns over these unilateral claims that are being made over pieces of land by Waqf Board in different parts of the country. We're talking about Kerala now, but a similar case had come to the fore from Karnataka, which we had accessed here, exposed here on CNN News 18, and that is something that the Union Home Minister raked up today. Listen in.
पूरा देश वक्फ बोर्ड के कुछ प्रावधान जो कांग्रेस पार्टी ने किया उससे परेशान है। मोदी जी संसद के अंदर वक्फ बोर्ड में बदलाव का बिल लाए और वो बिल का ये लोग विरोध कर रहे हैं। अभी अभी कर्नाटक के वक्फ बोर्ड ने कुछ पूरे गांवों को मंदिरों समेत, किसानों की भूमि समेत गांवों को वक्फ की संपत्ति घोषित कर दिया। मैं पवार साहब को पूछने आया, उद्धव जी को पूछना चाहता हूं, मुझे बताइए वक्फ बोर्ड का आप समर्थन करोगे या विरोध करोगे? वो जवाब नहीं देंगे। मैं आपको बता देता हूं, वो वक्फ बोर्ड का विरोध करेंगे सिराला वालों। और अघाड़ी की सरकार गलती से भी आ गई तो किसानों की भूमि वक्फ बोर्ड के नाम पर करने का भी काम करेगी, वक्फ बोर्ड के नाम पर।
So now there are two documents that we've accessed for you here on Nation at 5 at CNN News 18 that go on to show why this should not be a dispute at all to begin with, that the Waqf has no claim over this piece of land. The first document that we've accessed for you, of course, that's in Malayalam, but we'll put out the details for you. This is from 1950, November 1st. What the document says is that the registered land needs to be handed over to Farooq College. It is handed over as a gift deed. This document was signed by Mohammad Siddiq Seth to Farooq College when the land was given to them. The gift deed mention is where the Waqf word comes in, and that's what is being used by the Waqf board to claim stake on this particular land, is what the fisherfolk there are alleging. Now, cut a few years later, few decades later, in fact, 1990. This is the document which goes on to say that the land that is sold to the Munambam residents by Farooq College, this land was with Farooq College. It ceased to exist, which is why it has now been given to the fisherfolk that have been residing there for years together. These are the two documents that go on to show that there is a clear paper trail to show transfer of ownership. Where exactly then does the Waqf come in from? These protests have been witnessed on ground there, Neetu, for the last several days. We're seeing these fisherfolk who are backed by the church, is what we're given to understand as well, as far as this protest goes. What reactions have we seen from the Waqf board? Are they in this dispute to take it legally? Is this something that they are going to give up on or not?
See, the Waqf Board's official stand is that this is a case which is actually it is pending before the High Court also, and they have not given notice to all the residents there. They say that only about 12 residents they have given the notice, and the residents can bring in the documents that they have before the Waqf Board. And after looking at the documents, if it is there, there are many cases where the ownership has been given back. Now, all this started, as we mentioned, it's because of that 1950 November 1 document where it says it's Waqf land. So there are many interpretations to that. So if it is Waqf land, then the sale later by the Farooq College cannot be accepted. So that is also one of the contentions in this. But the affected people have approached the court stating that this is not Waqf land because the 1950 document clearly puts preconditions, and if you have preconditions according to the 1995 Waqf Act, which says that it means there needs to be absolute dedication. So if that is not there, then it cannot be called a Waqf land. So these are the two contentions. So we'll have to wait and watch how the courts will be looking at this. But it also looks like in the state of Kerala there could be some kind of settlement that comes out after this all-party meeting also, because the Waqf clearly says that they have given notice, and if they have documents to prove, that can also be brought before the board. They can look at it, look at all the documents, and it's not like they are being evacuated. So this is also the stand that they are saying, but ultimately it all depends on the court cases and also whether the government will be successful in bringing out any kind of settlement.
Right, Neetu. Thank you so much for getting us perspective on that. This, of course, is the latest controversy, which we'll keep a track of. But for now, shifting focus to a political controversy that's brewing up north in Himachal Pradesh. A CID investigation has been ordered by the Himachal Pradesh government into an incident where samosas and cakes that were meant for Chief Minister Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu were in fact served to his security staff. What exactly transpired and why is this a matter of investigation? That seems to be the question everyone's asking. What we know so far is that at least 3 boxes of these savouries and the sweets that were bought from a 5-star hotel as refreshments when the Chief Minister was to visit the CID headquarters, they vanished before he even visited. When asked about the incident, Sukhu said that a panel has been formed to probe the matter. The DG of Himachal CID has said this is an internal matter of the agency and the state government has no role, but it is a disciplinary issue, which is why investigation must be done. BJP, meanwhile, has condemned this incident. They say this exposes the VVIP culture that the Congress promotes within the party. They've even questioned the priorities of a law enforcement agency like the CID in the state.
देखिए, वो पीसीसी अध्यक्ष जाने इस बारे में, क्योंकि प्रदेश कांग्रेस कमेटी उनके अंडर आती है, ब्लॉक कांग्रेस कमेटी उनके अंडर आती है। नहीं, वो मिसबिहेविंग पर इन्वॉल्व हुई, खबर आप समोसे की चला रहे, ऑफिसर्स ने मेरे ख्याल वही करेंगे।
आप क्लियर कर सकते हैं एग्जैक्टली हुआ क्या था?
देखिए, हमने सीएम साहब को एज चीफ गेस्ट इनवाइट किया था साइबर विंग के डेटा सेंटर के उद्घाटन के लिए, और सीएम साहब आए भी, उद्घाटन भी किया और हमने अपनी प्रेजेंटेशंस दी और उन्होंने बड़े पॉजिटिवली उसको सुना और आश्वासन दिया कि उस पर उचित कार्रवाई की जाएगी। सारा काम जो है वो अच्छी ढंग से संपन्न हुआ। उसके बाद हम ऑफिसर्स बैठ के चाय पी रहे थे, तो बातों में चर्चा चली कि भाई वो जो आइटम्स थे वो मंगाए गए थे, बर्बर बात हो रही है कि भाई वो क्या हुआ उसका पता करो। बस इतनी सी बात थी और ये बात एस्केलेट होके और इस लेवल तक पहुंच गई। ये बड़ी दुखद बात है। मेरी आप सभी से करबद्ध प्रार्थना है कि ये सीआईडी का इंटरनल मैटर है कंप्लीटली, और इसमें जो भी अगर उचित कार्रवाई होगी वो हम इंटरनली इंक्वायरी करके, डिसिप्लिन का मामला है या कोई और बात है, वो हम इंटरनली उसको डील करेंगे
जी।
तो इसको ना बढ़ाया जाए, टूल ना दिया जाए, इसको एस्केलेट ना किया जाए, इसको पॉलिटिसाइज ना किया जाए। ये मेरी आप सभी से प्रार्थना है। ये एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव मैटर है और यहीं पे इसको समाप्त किया। हमने कोई अभी तक नोटिस नहीं दिया, हमने किसी को एक्सप्लेनेशन नहीं कॉल किया, हम किसी के खिलाफ अभी कार्रवाई कोई नहीं कर रहे हैं। बट ये बात यहाँ तक बढ़ गई है, ये बड़ी दुखद है।
जी, पर ओझा साहब, ये रिपोर्ट्स भी आ रही है कि सीआईडी की इनिशियल प्राइमा फेसी इन्वेस्टिगेशन कहती है कि ये पोटेंशियली एक इंटेंशनल इंसिडेंट था, एंटी सीआईडी, एंटी गवर्नमेंट इंटेंशंस थे ऑफिशियल्स के। उसको आप क्लियर कीजिए। ये रिपोर्ट्स आ रही हैं कि प्राइमा फेसी आपको लगता है, आप कह रहे हैं इंटरनल मैटर है, पर प्राइमा फेसी ये रिपोर्ट्स आ रही हैं कि आप मानते हैं कि ये इंटेंशनली किया गया था चीफ मिनिस्टर के खिलाफ।
ये इनडिसिप्लिन का मामला है, ये इनडिसिप्लिन का मामला मानता हूं, और इंटेंशनली कोई सरकार के खिलाफ नहीं था, बट ये इनडिसिप्लिन का जरूर मामला है और इसीलिए पता किया गया। तो जो उचित कार्रवाई होगी वो सीआईडी डील करेगी।
जी ओझा साहब, पर ऐसा नहीं, ये इस केस से ऐसा लगता है कि ये ओवर डेलीगेशन ये पूरे इंसिडेंट में गया था। एक ऑफिशियल ने दूसरे ऑफिशियल को दिया, दूसरे ऑफिशियल ने तीसरे ऑफिशियल को दिया, और उसकी कंफ्यूजन की वजह से ये इंसिडेंट हुआ है।
हो सकता है आप सही कह रहे हो, तो इसीलिए अब जब चूंकि लिखित में रिपोर्ट आई है तो इसमें हम मंथन करेंगे, चर्चा करेंगे, फिर कार्रवाई होगी अगर जरूरत पड़ी। अगर इनडिसिप्लिन का मामला निकला तो फिर कार्रवाई होगी, जो कि कोई भी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिवली कोई भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन करती है।
ये बिल्कुल गलत बयानबाजी है। कोई इस तरह की कोई इंक्वायरी नहीं है। हमें समझ नहीं आता कि ये कैसी न्यूज़ चल रही है और क्या ये इन सब के पीछे सोच क्या है कि सरकार को बदनाम करने के लिए कुछ लोग मिलकर साजिश करते हैं। ऐसी कोई इंक्वायरी सरकार ने ना इनिशिएट की है, ना ही कोई हो रही है। ये एक इंटरनल मैटर सीआईडी विभाग का हो सकता है, तो ये एक बहुत छोटा मामला, इंटरनल मामला उनका जो है डिपार्टमेंट का हो सकता है। जिस चिट्ठी का जिक्र आप लोग कर रहे हैं, इसका सरकार से कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है और कोई इस प्रकार की इंक्वायरी नहीं हुई है। मुझे बड़ा दुख हो रहा है कि आज हमें इस तरह के विषय पे भी अपना रिएक्शन देना पड़ रहा है।
Now, Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister has responded to this entire controversy, making it clear that this matter should not be escalated any further. He says the DGP has already clarified and that the BJP is plotting to defame the state government.
मुख्यमंत्री जी, अब समोसे और केक को लेकर जो हिमाचल चर्चा में है, ये क्यों लगातार हम देख रहे हैं ऐसी चीज़ों को लेकर हिमाचल चर्चा में आ रहा है?
पिछले 3-4 महीने से जब से ही कांग्रेस की 6 सीटें जीती है, किसी न किसी रूप में हिमाचल को बदनाम करने की कोशिश की जा रही है, टारगेट करके कंपेन किया जा रहा है। इस प्रकार की बातें नहीं होनी चाहिए, मुद्दों पर बात होनी चाहिए, राजनीतिक दृष्टिकोण पर बात होनी चाहिए। तो मुझे नहीं समझ आता ये क्या बातें क्या हो रही है।
और एक उसमें ये भी, क्योंकि भाजपा की तरफ से भी कहा जा रहा है कि उस एक्ट को जो है वो एंटी सीआईडी और एंटी गवर्नमेंट कहा गया है, जो रिपोर्ट कोई ऐसी आई है।
मेरे को पास तो नहीं, बचकाना बात है। डीजीपी ने वहाँ क्या कहते हैं, वहाँ क्लैरिटी दी है, और ये जो बचकाना खबर है, खबर थोड़ी है। आप खबर तो अच्छी चलाइए।
Arun, my colleague, now joining us. Bachkani baatein hain, says the Chief Minister Arun, but it is in fact the CID of his state that is investigating it.
Well, that's right. It has become an embarrassment for the state government, and therefore we are seeing, of course, they're trying to soften the entire story by saying that it's a very childish matter. There is some intent behind targeting the, Himachal Pradesh government by the BJP. That's what the stand of Sukhu or his media advisor. But the fact of the matter is that this has given good ammunition to the BJP, and therefore we are seeing many BJP leaders are coming out and hitting out at the Congress party that after charging the toilet seat or not paying the salaries of the government employees, now they are resorting to this, that where few samosas and cakes had come for the chief minister, which essentially had by his staff. They are investigating the entire matter. Some of the senior officials are involved in the investigation, and most surprisingly, which BJP has has been highlighting that how they can call this entire matter is against the CID or NT government. In that report, the investigation findings which has come to light now, it is mentioned that it was against the government, it was anti-government, anti-CID. That is something which is becoming an embarrassing thing for the Congress party. But Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu, as we just heard, who's the Chief Minister, is saying that in last 3-4 months there has been a spree of targeting of his government by the opposition side. There is an agenda behind all these things through which they are coming out and trying to defame the Himachal Pradesh government. There is nothing of this sort is happening, and this matter is an internal matter, and therefore the internal investigation is taking place in this matter, and that has been the stand of both DGP and of course the state government.
Right, Arun. Thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. Even though that clarification comes to the fore from the state government, the political war of words only escalating, the BJP accusing the state government and the Congress party of misplaced priorities. Listen in to some reactions.
हिमाचल प्रदेश में आजकल सरकार का फैसला करने का तरीका जो है पूरे देश भर में चर्चा का विषय बना हुआ है, और चर्चा का विषय इसलिए बना है कि बिना सोचे समझे फैसले लिए जाते हैं। मुख्यमंत्री को और हिमाचल प्रदेश सरकार को इस सारे विषय पर ये बड़ा गंभीर विषय है और इस पर जांच होनी चाहिए। और हैरानी की बात तो मुझे इस बात को लेकर के है कि उस सारे विषय में यहां भी क्या है कि ये जो है वो सरकार विरोधी जो है गतिविधि है। इस बात को लेकर के भी हम हैरान हैं कि सरकार विरोधी गतिविधि है। समोसा तो विपक्ष ने नहीं खाया, विपक्ष के लोगों को नहीं बांटा गया, किसी को समोसा अगर मिला होगा तो वो सरकार का हिस्सा ही रहे होंगे संभवतः।
This is the Congress's governance model. After tax on toilets, now samosa will face inquiry. This is a VVIP samosa. It's not an ordinary samosa. And Congress is a samosa jalebi party. We know that Congress believes in high-class living. So VVIP 5-star samosas were ordered for the Chief Minister. By mistake, they were served to the staff of the Chief Minister. Now that has instituted CID inquiry, and the act is called Anti-Government Act, Sarkar Virodhi Act. Imagine the priority of the government of Himachal Pradesh. They can't pay salaries and pensions. You can imagine the vindictiveness with which Congress pursues other cases. This is the true khatakat model of Congress.
On that note, it's time for a quick break on this edition, but we'll be back with more news and updates. Don't go anywhere.
Appreciation for Susie and Chris, the job you did. Susie, come here. Come here, Susie. Chris, come here, Chris. Susie likes to stay sort of in the back, let me tell you. The Ice Maiden, we call her the Ice Maiden. Come here, Chris. Come here, Chris. Susie likes to stay in the background. She's not in the background.
Donald Trump will for sure pick a team that thinks like him and more does as he wants done, but not without thanking some who have done so much to bring him where he is. He will want them to bring him more success and take him further down that path through the presidency. And there, who can think of anyone first but Elon Musk, his star campaigner and cheerleader and funder with $1 million giveaways in the swing states through the campaign. As the richest man in the world, worth about $260 billion, Musk has a way of getting listened.
बनाए रखने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है और इसके लिए हम भरपूर प्रयास इसी प्रकार जारी रखेंगे। जय हिंद।
सर, इनका आउटफिट क्या था, कोई पता चल पाया है इनका टेरर आउटफिट क्या था एंड मॉडस ऑपरेंडी क्या था इनका? जैसे हम देख रहे हैं सिविलियन किलिंग इससे पहले टारगेट था इनका टेररिस्ट लोगों का, अभी इनका क्या मॉडस ऑपरेंडी था?
अभी सिंस अभी ऑपरेशन कंक्लूड हुआ है, the course of investigation will lead us to their actual identification और affiliation। वो investigation के बाद ही हम ascertain कर सकते हैं।
सर, क्या ये इंटरकनेक्ट थे? परसों जो 2 एनकाउंटर हुए, इससे पहले कुपवारा और बांडीपुरा का एनकाउंटर हुआ, क्या ये उसी ग्रुप से थे ये मिलिटेंट?
That will be too early to just ascertain about it because we are investigating it. We have registered the case and in due course of investigation हमें पता लगेगा कि एक्चुअल क्या था, कौन वही वाला ग्रुप है क्या और some other group is there।
अभी तक साइलेंट था, क्या साउथ से यहाँ पे मूवमेंट हुई है जो नॉर्थ अभी बहुत टाइम के बाद यहाँ पे ऐसी गन फाइट हुई है?
जैसे कुछ रिपोर्ट्स आई है इन्फिल्ट्रेशन के में भी कुछ जैसे कि कमांडर साहब ने कहा कि कुछ दिनों से ये एक्टिव थे, सो देयर वर सम इन्फिल्ट्रेशंस एंड मे बी एंड वो उन्हीं में से कोई ग्रुप होगा जो नया इन्फिल्ट्रेट हुआ होगा। दैट्स द ये इन्वेस्टिगेशन का ही हिस्सा है। वी कैन असर्टेन इट आफ्टर प्रॉपर इन्वेस्टिगेशन।
थैंक यू सर।
थैंक यू वेरी मच। थैंक यू।
That was a briefing there by the Indian Army as far as operations in Jammu and Kashmir are concerned. There was an encounter that raged on in Sopore where 2 terrorists have been eliminated. Unfortunately, 2 innocent lives were also lost in a terror attack that happened in Kishtwar. A crackdown on terror elements, on terror funding, all of that continues at a speedy pace as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. Several terrorists are either being nabbed or eliminated. No infiltration attempt is going to be tolerated, is the clear message. The Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir also went on to say that the attack and the killing of the 2 village development guards is concerned, that will also be avenged. Ishan, my colleague, now joining us, getting us more details. Ishan, as far as the Sopore encounter went, we're given to understand that 2 terrorists have been eliminated. Is that operation over?
Well, yes, the operation is over. It got over in the morning itself, where security forces were able to clear that area. These 2 were hiding in the vicinity, and when security forces received presence of these militants, they swung into action along with the JMK police and the Indian Army lead tight cordon, and later on CRPF also joined the operation. But we know is that 2 of them have been killed. The arms and ammunition that has been recovered from them, including 2 AK-47 rifle, grenades, and other ammunition. The IGP of Kashmir Police has said already that they were in the area and received report about their presence, and the sort of ammunition that has been recovered from them that indicates that they are from the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and both can be foreigners. So their identity has been confirmed and checked, but as far as the security forces are concerned, it's a big success for them. And in Sopore area of North Kashmir, that they have been able to neutralize 2 of them, and now the army is also doing a press conference where they are giving details really how the operation transpired. But it's very clear the security forces are trying to ensure that they are able to carry maximum operation, particularly in Kashmir Valley, to ensure that they are able to neutralize any threats or issues that people can face in terms of attacks on them, in terms of attacks on security forces. But now since the operation is concluded, with the success of the security forces, and on the other hand, they have also been able to crack the case of grenade lobbing in TRC area of Srinagar, where 12 civilians were hurt in that grenade attack. 3 overground workers or the terror associates have been held who belong to Srinagar, who had thrown this grenade on the instance of a call or a message from a handler across the border. So yes, success for the forces. Twice they are able to, one, prevent, and second, they are able to crack the case.
Right now, as far as the kidnapping and the killing of the village defense guards is concerned, any details of any group that has claimed responsibility, any details of in which direction that investigation is headed?
Well, yes, the investigation is trying to ensure that they are able to, see if there could be more errors that could be made in this case. Because this is a sensitive case, and several other cases like these where there have been attacks at the security forces or there are attacks on the civilians. The police is trying to unearth the entire module because 3 errors have been made in Srinagar case. So it's indicated the fact that the forces are trying to further investigate and try to see who are the handlers who are sitting across and giving directions or trying to transport grenades or ammunition to them so that they could carry out sensational attacks, throw grenades and create chaos. But on the other hand, when there is investigation, there are also operations taking place both in Kashmir as well as in the Jammu region.
Right.
Right.
Right now, as far as the killing and the killing of the village defense guards is concerned, any details of any group that has claimed responsibility, any details of Right, Ishan, do stay on with us because even as we see those anti-terror operations gather steam on ground in the assembly in Jammu and Kashmir, there's massive ruckus. Today was the last day of the special session that was convened of the newly elected Jammu and Kashmir MLAs. Ruckus ensuing once again. Remember, yesterday we saw a scuffle between Engineer Rashid's brother, who's an MLA, and BJP MLAs who eventually had to be escorted out. The marshals had to physically pick these MLAs out and throw them out of the assembly. Today, once again, we are seeing high drama ensue there.
मेरा सिर्फ ये कहना है ना कि 12 हो नहीं पाएंगे। आप एक अब स्पीकर साहब, स्पीकर साहब, will you sit down?
अपनी जगह जाओ। You take your seat. You take not here. Not here, in your seat, in your seat. आप बोलिए अपनी सीट पर जाइए।
स्पीकर साहब,
you go to your seat.
स्पीकर साहब,
go to your seat. आप go to your seat. आप सीट पर।
स्पीकर साहब, ये आदत से कुछ लोग आदत से मजबूर हैं। देखिए आप
सीट पर जाइए ना, सीट पर जाइए।
स्पीकर साहब, आप ऑपोजिशन के एक दो मेंबरों को एडजस्ट कर दीजिए। ट्रेजरी के जो ऑनरेबल मेंबर बचे हुए हैं, वो जब जम्मू में डिस्कशन होगा, ऑनरेबल मेंबर्स तब एडजस्ट हो जाएंगे और आप ये डिस्कशन कंप्लीट करके मुझे जवाब देने का मौका दीजिए।
महाराज साहब, एक सुना ना नायक साहब, आपने बोला, आप क्या बोल रहे हैं? आपने तो तकलीफ की है, लेकिन पराज साहब एक बात का कह रहे थे, आपने 2-3 मिनट मांगे हैं, बट प्लीज कीप योर प्रॉमिस।
शुक्रिया सर।
मैं आपको भी दे दूंगा टाइम, तकसीम रखिएगा।
ठीक है सर, हम कोई भी
आप बेसब्र हो रहे हैं।
उमर साहब को भी बोलता हूँ, कहीं पर भी सर हमारा कहीं मूड नहीं था, यहाँ पर खुदा ना खासा हमारी वजह से कोई डिस्ट्रक्शन हो। पहले दिन चलो वी इनिशिएटेड समथिंग व्हिच वाज रिजेक्टेड। नाउ दैट यू बॉट अ रेजोल्यूशन, वी सपोर्टेड। हमने वोट किया सर आपके रेजोल्यूशन, और इस वक्त कश्मीर में नो टू कश्मीरीज हैव अ रीजन टू क्राई। सिंस दिस इज अ हिस्टोरिक सेशन, आफ्टर एब्रोगेशन वी आर रिकॉर्डिंग आवर ओन इरोजन, और हमारे बच्चे, आपके बच्चे, आने वाला कल कश्मीर का इज वेटिंग एंड वॉचिंग दिस सेशन। एंड उमर साहब को मैं इल्जाम तराश नहीं लगूंगा, इसने क्या किया, द फ्यूचर कैन नॉट बी गवर्न बाय द पास्ट मिस्टेक्स। इसने कब क्या किया? उमर साहब इज द हेड ऑफ फैमिली टुडे, इज द लीडर ऑफ कश्मीर टुडे, एंड ही हैज अ ब्रूट माइंडेड, वी एक्सेप्ट इट, हमें कोई शर्म नहीं है इसलिए। बट द पॉइंट इज एक्सेप्टेंस और टॉलरेंस का ओनर्स लाइफ है मेजॉरिटी। आप बड़े लोग हैं, हम छोटे हैं, नए हैं, गलती हो सकती है। रेजोल्यूशन को भी हमने वोट किया, सपोर्ट किया। गर्ज हमारा ये था कि इस रेजोल्यूशन को, सिंस पीपल ऑफ कश्मीर आर वाचिंग दिस रेजोल्यूशन एंड वी आर रिकॉर्डिंग आवर ओन इरोजन्स, जो लेगेसी शेख साहब की है, हमने अपनी बात नहीं की। आज पहली बार कश्मीर में जिन लोगों ने आपको वोट डाला, फ्रॉम सेंटिमेंट टू मेन स्ट्रीम, फ्रॉम जमात टू मिलिटेंट फैमिली, आई हैव सीन माई सेल्फ मिलिटेंट मदर्स वोटिंग फॉर यू, वोटिंग फॉर नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस। दिस इज द ह्यूज प्रोसेस ऑफ फर्स्ट टाइम where people have given mandate to the manifesto of national congress। इसमें भी हमें शर्म नहीं है सर। लेकिन इस वक्त अगर जो शेख साहब की लेगेसी की बात होती है 53 की, जिस ऑटोनॉमी रिपोर्ट को आपने चेयर किया, अगर इस हाउस में एक्सेप्टेंस ही नहीं है हमें बात रखने का, बात सुनने का, फिर आप नरेंद्र मोदी पर क्या इल्जाम लगाएंगे? फिर आप दूसरे बीजेपी को बोलेंगे हंगामा, आप 3 लोगों 4 लोगों की बात नहीं सुनेंगे। फिर so the point I am saying, sir, we came with the consent after last minute. Remember lawyer was sir, we came.
नहीं, अपनी सीट पर जाइए, अपनी सीट पर जाइए, अपनी सीट पर जाइए। आपकी बात कोई रिकॉर्ड नहीं होगी यहाँ से। अपनी सीट पर जाइए, जाए प्लीज, प्लीज टेक योर सीट, प्लीज टेक योर सीट, प्लीज टेक योर सीट। हो गया, हो गया, हो गया। आप तशरीफ रखिए, आप तशरीफ रखिए। इफ्तिकार साहब फ्रॉम राजौरी, इफ्तिकार साहब, इफ्तिकार साहब आप बोलिए।
अपोजिशन मेंबर जो है परा साहब, हम कदर करते हैं, ये हाउस के एक मेंबर है। बात करने दे, बात करने दे। किसी ने नहीं बोला यहाँ जमात इस्लामिया गद्दार है, बीजेपी गद्दार है, या कोई पार्टी गद्दार है। ये मैंने बोला, एक बार बोली, मैंने बोला सर, मैंने बोला वो सेंटर में गद्दार किसने कहा? Why you are putting, you are telling them गद्दार, not me. 4 लोग हिस्सा हो गए.
खामोश रहे. नीचे बैठे आप नीचे बैठे. परिषद साहब, आपने तकरीर अपनी खत्म की है. परिषद साहब, प्लीज टेक वन सीट प्लीज. डोंट मेक इट अ फिश मार्केट. प्लीज टेक वन सीट. आई एम टेलिंग यू, टेक वन सीट. ये इफ्तिकार साहब बोलिए क्या बोलना है. 2 मिनट बोलिए जल्दी 2 मिनट में. नहीं, आप मेहरबानी करके अबाउट टाइम हमारे पास नहीं है. आपका मेंबर बोल रहा है. डोंट इंटरवीन.
Humility. I request the leader of the house, through this august chair, must have heard all the speech. We know we have challenged there. We have made a jittery start because problems are galore, but problems are solvable also. We have two.
Ishan continues to be with us. Ishan, what exactly transpired? Wahid Parra of the PDP wanted to speak. He wasn't allowed initially, but then he was after the Chief Minister intervened. And yet we saw words being exchanged between him and another MLA. Ishan? Okay, we'll try and reconnect with my colleague Ishan and get you a sense of what exactly transpired in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. But today was the last day of the special session. We saw massive drama over the last 2 days after the resolution on restoration of Article 370 was brought in. We'll keep an eye out for more on that. But for now, it's time for a quick break.
Appreciation for Susie and Chris, the job you did. Susie, come here. Come here, Susie. Chris, come here, Chris. Susie likes to stay sort of in the back, let me tell you. The Ice Maiden, we call her the Ice Maiden. Susie? Come here, Susie. Chris, come here, Chris. Susie likes to stay in the background. She's not in the background.
Donald Trump will for sure pick a team that thinks like him and more does as he wants done, but not without thanking some who have done so much to bring him where he is. He will want them to bring him more success and take him further down that path through the presidency. And there, who can think of anyone first but
Welcome back. The tensions between India and Canada are only escalating. In a sharp rebuke, the Ministry of External Affairs has ramped up its criticism of Canada after the Trudeau government denied security for India's consular camps. The Indian consulate in Canada has said that it had to cancel its life certificate camp in Toronto due to inadequate security, despite requesting assistance from Canadian authorities. Remember, this comes after several such consular camps were attacked by pro-Khalistani sympathizers, by Khalistani elements, and the police there watched on. There was an attack on a temple in Brampton as well not too long ago, where a Canadian cop was involved himself. Meanwhile, Canada's hypocrisy on free speech stands exposed because even as Khalistanis get a free run there, the government has decided to ban an Australian diaspora outlet for airing a news conference of India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar. CNN News 18 spoke to the editor-in-chief of Australia today about Canada's actions. He says that the Canadian government does not believe in freedom of speech and they've systematically targeted to quell their voice for the Indian diaspora. He also goes on to say that we are not going to quiet down. On the other hand, politics back home here in India continues. The Congress has alleged that the centre has failed to implement an efficient foreign policy, which is why Canada provokes every once in a while.
What do you think was the specific part or remark that was made by the Minister of External Affairs, Mr. Jaishankar, that has actually, led for Canadian authorities to come up with such a ban on the Australia Today?
I can't really pinpoint on which portion of the interview or press conference irritates the Canadian government, but I can definitely say that yes, in the way Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar responded, and Penny Wong also said that yes, the Hindu persecution in Canada was discussed in the meeting with Indian External Affairs, and they acknowledged that something which is should be looked into was happening there. Probably that irritated them, and the response which we were getting on our Facebook page where this interview and the press conference was posted, we were getting a number of, we have quite a wide following in Canada, so we were getting number of responses from Canadian followers of ours. And say in 5 hours time, we posted the interview from the press conference. And within half an hour or 40 minutes, that disappeared, and we were getting messages that we can't see your content. Where is the interview? Because we wrote that we are bringing you an exclusive interview with Indian External Minister. And that went away, and people started sending us the screenshot that this content can't be viewed in Canada because of Canadian government's legislation. See, within a few hours, not 3 days back, not 5 days back, not 5 days after, just on the day when we are focused on these issues, Canadian government takes such action. What do you make out? That they are not for press freedom, they are not for diverse views, which probably we were putting forward through Australian Foreign Minister and Indian External Affairs Minister.
Australia Today. Yes, you have heard it correctly. We've also seen that we understand that the social media handles and pages of this particular outlet, which is an important diaspora outlet, has been blocked and are not available for viewers in Canada. This happened just a few hours after this particular handle carried the press conference of External Affairs Minister along with Penny Wong. And the particular media outlet also had several articles on the visit of the External Affairs Minister, as also an interview of External Affairs Minister. So we were surprised. It looks strange to us, but nonetheless, what I will say that these are actions which yet again highlight the hypocrisy of Canada towards freedom of speech. We had asked for security to be provided for our diplomats where the consular camp was to be held, and those have not been provided by the Canadian side.
Sir, कनाडा की जब बात किया जाए तो कनाडा ने अभी ऑस्ट्रेलिया टुडे करके एक वेबसाइट है जो इंडियन डायस्पोरा को केटर करती है। उन्होंने जयशंकर जी का एक इंटरव्यू किया था, एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस किया था। उसके बाद से कनाडा ने उनको कम्प्लीटली बैन कर दिया है। फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन पे अब सवाल उठा रहे हैं सब।
मैं बहुत ही गंभीरता से एक बात कहना चाहता हूँ, गंभीर हो जाइए विश्वगुरु प्रधानमंत्री जी। ये क्या कर रहे हैं आप? चाहे कनाडा हो, चाहे बांग्लादेश हो, चाहे ब्रिटेन हो, कहीं भी हमारे भारतवंशी सुरक्षित नहीं हैं। और आज तो बेइज्जती की हद हो गई। हमारे विदेश मंत्री जो भारत का पक्ष रख रहे थे उनको प्रतिबंधित कर दिया। तो कहाँ तो आप विश्वगुरु बनने का सपना देख रहे हैं, तो कहाँ आपके विदेश मंत्री को प्रतिबंधित कर रहा है कनाडा। यह हमारे सम्मान के खिलाफ है। आपको ऐसा कदम उठाना चाहिए जिससे किसी भी देश में भारतवंशी रह रहे हों तो उनको धार्मिक आज़ादी हो, वैचारिक आज़ादी हो और उस देश के कानून के मुताबिक वो अपने धर्म कर्म का निर्वाह कर सके।
If हाथी के दांत खाने के अलग दिखाने के अलग और hypocrisy had a face, it would be the Canadian government. On the one hand, the Canadian government harps on free speech, presents itself as the poster child of free speech and liberal values. On the other hand, the Canadian government has blocked the social media outlets of Australia today. But how hypocritical of the Canadian government. They will allow speech that wants to disintegrate India, that attacks India, that attacks and eulogizes a former Prime Minister's assassination, but it won't allow speech of the External Affairs Minister of India on Australia today. This shows the double standards that their entire stand is laced with.
Shifting focus now to what's transpiring in Europe. In Amsterdam, Israeli fans faced violent attacks following a football match on Thursday night. At least 10 suffered critical injuries in the attack. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu directed 2 rescue planes to be sent immediately to Amsterdam. National Security Ministry has issued an advisory urging Israelis to stay vigilant not just in Amsterdam but across the Netherlands. Sharon Haskell of the Israeli Foreign Ministry has appealed to Western nations to wake up to the threat of anti-Semitism and stand with Israel.
I am in the Foreign Ministry Situation Room here in Jerusalem as we oversee the evacuation of Israelis from Amsterdam, victims of an anti-Semitic pogrom. Israelis leaving a soccer game in Amsterdam were viciously attacked by a large organized mob. They were chased, they were beaten, and many of them are hospitalized. We are working to evacuate the victims and bring them home. I call on the Dutch government to arrest and prosecute all those involved, and we have information from social media leading to those radical Islamists who went hunting for Jews. I call on Europe and the world to act more aggressively to combat anti-Semitism. This is your responsibility. Israeli Jews being attacked by a violent mob in the heart of Europe is something no one should stand. If we fail to act, it will only get worse.
Colleague now joining us, getting us more details. Siddhant, 2 planes were sent by Israel for evacuation of the injured. Several of them were hospitalized is what we're given to understand. What's the investigation from the Dutch side? Any arrests made? Siddhant? We'll try and reconnect that line with my colleague Siddhant, getting us more details. But those are visuals on your screens where you see Israeli fans getting attacked, brutally thrashed on the streets of Netherlands after a football match on the streets of Amsterdam. The world, of course, is condemning what's transpired. Israeli government looking at support from Western nations as well. Slipping into a quick break on that note. Back in just a few minutes. Do stay tuned.
appreciation for Susie and Chris, the job you did. Susie, come here. Come here, Susie. Chris, come here, Chris. Susie likes to stay sort of in the back, let me tell you. The Ice Maiden, we call her the Ice Maiden. Come here, Chris. Come here, Chris. Susie likes to stay in the background. She's not in the background.
Donald Trump will for sure pick a team that thinks like him and more does as he wants done, but not without thanking some who have done so much to bring him where he is. He will want them to bring him more success and take him further down that path through the presidency. And there, who can think of anyone first but Elon Musk, his star campaigner and cheerleader and funder with $1 million giveaways in the swing states through the campaign. As the richest man in the world, worth about $260 billion, Musk has a way of getting listened to, and we already know who will be listening and listening out for what. He has a new job to do with the government, what he did with X, axe and chopped down to a size no one had thought possible. Accordingly, he's been given charge of what has been called the Department of Government Efficiency, an early decision there. And through that, he says he will take $2 trillion out of the government budget, that much saving. No one is forgetting that he sacked 80% of the staff of Twitter when he took over. His official brief is to make recommendations for drastic reforms. Musk must love that sort of thing. American bureaucrats are watching this space very nervously. But of course, for Musk, this is not just about savings for the government. There will be money he expects to make out of government for himself. Rural subsidies for his Starlink broadband, more contracts for SpaceX with Defense and NASA, already worth $15 billion. He isn't the boss just of Tesla and X, and he is not joining the government to abandon his own profits. Then there is the Ice Baby, as Trump called her, Susie Wiles, his chief of staff who managed his election campaign so very successfully, who he thanked in his victory speech. White House chief of staff, and in that role.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Narendra Modi unleashed a scathing attack on the Mahavikas Aghadi or the India bloc on a series of issues. This was in his first rally in Maharashtra ahead of elections in the state. He called the alliance anti-women. He highlighted the derogatory comments that were made from several leaders within the state, within the opposition bloc, specifically from Arvind Sawant of the UBT camp towards Shaina NC, one of the candidates of the NDA in this upcoming elections. Prime Minister Modi also dared Rahul Gandhi to take a stand against Veer Savarkar in Maharashtra elections. He said that all that Rahul Gandhi has done is insult Veer Savarkar, but as he campaigns in Maharashtra, will he come out and praise him? He even made the pitch for unity, going on to say that ek rahenge to safe rahenge.
कांग्रेस माझी लाड़की बहन योजना को बंद करवाने के लिए भांति भांति साजिशें रच रही है। कांग्रेस के इकोसिस्टम वाले लोग इस योजना के खिलाफ कोर्ट तक पहुंच गए हैं। पूरा महाराष्ट्र देख रहा है। कांग्रेस और अघाड़ी वाले लोग अब महिलाओं को किस तरह गाली देने पर उतर आए हैं। कांग्रेस और उसके साथियों ने ठान लिया है कि अगर उन्हें सत्ता मिली तो सबसे पहले इस योजना को बंद कर देंगे। महाराष्ट्र के हर महिला को इन अघाड़ी वालों से सतर्क रहना है। ये लोग कभी नारी शक्ति को सशक्त होते नहीं देख सकते। कांग्रेस ने कभी मराठी भाषा को अभिजात भाषा का दर्जा नहीं मिलने दिया। कांग्रेस के लोग घूम घूम कर वीर सावरकर को गाली देते हैं। कांग्रेस के नेता गाली देते हैं। महाराष्ट्र की धरती पर आकर के वीर सावरकर का अपमान करते हैं। और मैंने सुना है कि महाराष्ट्र के अघाड़ी के कुछ नेताओं ने कांग्रेस के युवराज को बिठाया, उसको कहा भाई महाराष्ट्र में चुनाव जीतना है, तुम वीर सावरकर को अभी गाली देना कुछ दिन बंद करो। उसके मुंह पे ताला लगाया, गाली बोलना बंद करो। और ये देखिए अघाड़ी वाले, सबसे बड़ा दुर्भाग्य ये है कि सावरकर की विरासत का दम भरने वाले आज अघाड़ी में कांग्रेस के साथ खड़े हो गए हैं। एक है तो हमें एकजुट रहकर कांग्रेस के खतरनाक खेल को नाकाम करना है और विकास के रास्ते पर आगे बढ़ते रहना है। जहां विभाजन की आग है, वहां जड़ में कांग्रेस का देश विरोधी राग है।
A very good evening to Plain Speak. I'm Akanksha Swaroop and we are coming live to you from New York City. In fact, from one of the iconic fountains here at Central Park. As you can see, it may be evening in India, but